Forgive me for my absence these past 3 days. As I mentioned when I spoke to you last, Tommy Robinson called me up at 7 a.m. on Monday morning and said, "Ez, I'm going to court in Peterborough suing the Cambridgeshire Constabulary for what they did to my family. Please come to report from the court. Oh, and by the way, the 3-day trial starts tomorrow at 10 a.m. So can you please get on a plane right away?" That's what he said. Of course, he said it in his own way. He said Peterborough instead of Peterborough. That's how they say it over there. I kept getting laughed at for saying Peterborough. I even made a little video of it. Let me show you a bit of the banter. I am from Canada, and there is a city in Canada called Peterborough. Peterborough, Peterborough. Are you from Peterborough? I'm from Peterborough. Well, here I am in Peterborough, United Kingdom, and I have been chided at great length by assorted Brits who, whenever I say Peterborough, it's like I've said a 4-letter word, except for it's got like 10. So fellas, can you help me?
It's not a 4-letter word.
How do you say it's not Peterborough?
No, it's not.
Is it Peterborough?
Peterborough.
Are you even saying the T? Is it Peterborough?
Peterborough, that's it.
Okay, you said a T.
Peterborough.
Peterborough. Peterborough. Well, there's a fella here who wasn't even saying the T. Peterborough. Peterborough. Am I doing it?
Some people just call it the borough.
The borough. So I'm here in the borough.
I'm from the borough.
All right. I'm not making fun. They were making fun of me. I want to fit in. I want to fit. For the Rebel Media here in Peterborough, I'm Ezra Levant. Oh, and by the way, that sauce you put on steak, it's got Worcestershire sauce. It's not Worcestershire. Peterborough sounds like Kookaburra. Anyways, there was a lot of laughs. But the trial itself was extremely unfunny. Let me show you a bit of what it was about. I'm going to start by showing you 3 clips, all taken from Tommy Robinson's own cell phone. Now, all this happened just over 2 years ago in the summer of 2016. Tommy is a big football fan. That's what they call soccer over there, and he goes to the matches, both in his native Luton and when the team travels. In fact, when the trial ended one night, Tommy took me to a match between Luton, that's Tommy's team, and Bradford. Look how big the stadium is, eh? That's me looking very out of place, and I can't tell you how bitter cold it was, but I got a good feeling for what these football games are about. The teams on each side are very loyal and passionate. I mean, truly much more than anything we typically see here in Canada. Even during NHL playoffs, you don't see that kind of mania here. And the thing is, each team is that way. And a certain number of these football fans, especially when they drink a few pints, they get rowdy and they can fight even with rival football teams. So even going to the Luton match with Tommy, I observed a few things. The stadium we went to has separate entrances for the fans from each team. The home fans and the visiting fans entered the stadium from different sides, at least in Bradford, and they sat on opposite sides of the stadium. And when there was a break, the fans went out to buy a hot dog or whatever, get a beer, or in this case, to buy a little meat pie. Isn't that funny? That's what they served. Everyone was holding these little meat pies. They were pretty good. The Luton fans had their food concessions, and the Bradford fans had their food concessions, so the fans didn't mix. Can you believe it? And last point, I thought this was interesting. Each team has their own hometown police force there. So I just took this from where I was sitting. For example, I was at the Luton versus Bradford match in Bradford. So obviously the police from Bradford would be there, but you see that there was a special football police squad in each city that travels to games on the road with each team. So there in Bradford, the Luton police had sent their own football cops to Bradford to help keep order. They call them football spotters, since they go to literally every game and they get to know all the fans by name and face, and so they know who might cause trouble, and they have a long-standing rapport with the fans, good and bad. I took a picture of the Luton police in Bradford, and all the fans knew those police because it's the same cops at every game, and the police knew all the fans. It's an interesting approach to policing. I tell you that by way of background because my little experience at the freezing cold Luton match in Bradford, and Luton won, by the way, it was useful. It wasn't just fun. Because back in 2016, in the case in question, in the lawsuit, I went over there to cover for Tommy. Tommy, he's a Luton fan. He had traveled up to Cambridge to watch Luton play Cambridge. Tommy went up there with a friend, and they each brought their kids. Tommy has 3 young kids, and they made a family day out of it. They went to some kids festival in the city, then they went to the stadium to watch the match, and then they went to a pub.
And remember, a pub or a public house, as they're formally called in the UK, they're not really like our Canadian or American bars that are adults only. Yeah, they got a bar, but it's not like a nightclub or something. These pubs obviously do serve beer, and these are those were pictures we were showing from the actual pub Tommy went to. They're really a place for families, eating lunches, socializing with other families. It's quite a fun custom. It's different from what we do here in Canada. Families hang out there for hours. It's not a fast food place. They go there, they take their time. The opposite of fast food, really, and they have something to eat, sure, and they watch a match on TV, and they mill around, and they catch up with other families. It's a pretty fun tradition. Sometimes these pubs have hotel rooms upstairs, like half a dozen rooms or something. When I visited Tommy right after he got out of prison, you'll recall that's where I met him. You can see that pub life, people just hanging around. People hang out there all day. That's the place I met Tommy in Bradfordshire. It's a family place, but of course they serve beer. Anyway, I'm trying to paint a picture for you of what these pubs are like, because if I said a bar, I think you might get the wrong picture. I mean, yes, they have beer there, but it's like a day-long hangout for families. Tommy was spending the day with his kids and his friends and their kids. And like I say, they stay in these pubs for hours, and the kids all hang out with each other and they play with each other. And every parent sort of keeps an eye out for every kid. I've seen it at that pub in Bedfordshire that I just shown you, the one I've been with Tommy a few times. And the kids get bored and they run around a bit, but maybe they play outside a bit if there's a park. But they're all together. It's a real weekend kind of thing to do. Anyway, that's my brief experience in the UK. I tell you all this because on that fateful day 2.5 years ago, Tommy was at a pub in Cambridge with his kids, and he was in full family mode. No drinking. I know that to be the case. Tommy doesn't touch a drop of alcohol when he's with his family. And he hadn't had anything to drink all day. It was a kid's day. And I say that to distinguish him from stereotypical football hooligans who are a factor in British football. But Tommy isn't that way. At the Bradford game I went to with him, he just watches the game, he cheers, he sings some of their chants, and he talks with everyone, and they all seem to know each other, and all the fans know each other, and they know the police. It's quite a thing. I don't think we have that in Canada, that communal feeling. NHL fans don't have the same camaraderie. They don't travel to see every single away game of their home team in communal buses with the same police riding along, really. We don't have that here. It's quite interesting to a Canuck like me. Anyways, on that fateful day in 2016, Tommy took his kids to the match. Then afterwards they went to the pub, where Tommy watched another match on TV, a team called Manchester United. You probably heard of them. And then the police came in, and they came up to Tommy and said, "Leave the pub now or you'll get arrested." Now, it was 6:30 p.m. The match on TV with Manchester United was going to end in half an hour anyways. Tommy was with his family, but the cops from Cambridgeshire just said, "Hey, you, out of the pub now or you'll get arrested." Tommy asked why, and they didn't give him an answer. He asked again. They responded that if he kept asking, they'd arrest him right there by serving him a form called a Section 35 dispersal notice. That's a fancy way of saying being arrested for antisocial behavior. That's a thing in the UK. Tommy engaged with the police, and he recorded it on his cell phone, and for good reason, as I'll tell you later. Here, watch about 2 minutes of the interaction with the cops. This is from Tommy's cell phone that was later uploaded to YouTube. There are some notes on this video written, I think, by one of Tommy's friends, Brian. So take a look for a second.
What sort of law tells a man with his children he has to leave the city? What is that about?
Right.
What is that about? What is that about? Freedom, democracy, Britain. What's that about?
It's quite simple.
I should be.
Do you want me to explain it?
Tell me why then. Tell me why I have to leave.
The situation is, because of the lessons we've learnt in the past, we know that if certain groups stay within the city,
I'm
then
with
it
my
causes
children.
violence. Okay.
I'm with my children. So tell me what you're saying.
I'm not having an interview. I've already told you.
So you're telling me what?
I've told you already. Yeah. Are you going to leave?
So hold on.
Are you going to leave immediately?
I'm with my children, and you're telling me I have to leave immediately.
Are you going to leave?
Or what?
You're going to get a Section 35 dispersal notice. Right. Okay, we'll give you a 35 then.
Tell me what? I'm with my children. Hold on.
It's not up to the police. You're in Cambridge.
I'm with my children.
Stop getting that thing in my face. I'm not being interviewed by you. Right.
Tell me why. You tell me why.
No.
When I'm
You'll get it on the form. It'll be explained to you.
Tell me
right?
why I have to.
I'm going to get a form down.
Tell me why.
Listen,
No, officer. When I'm
take that camera off my face. I'm not being interviewed.
When I'm
this isn't Crime Watch.
I'm with my children.
Yeah.
You're telling me I have to leave.
Yeah.
Why?
Why? Because there's likely to be disorder.
Get off my hands. Don't assault me. Tell me why.
from Video 1 Alpha.
Tell me why I have to leave.
Stop shouting at me.
So tell me why I've got to leave.
It'll be explained to you when you get yourself.
How are you drawing a jurisdiction to where I do and don't go with my kids? Tell me the reason.
Shush! I'm trying to talk on my radio.
Hold on, you've told me I've got to leave.
Do you want to take your hand away from him?
I haven't. No, he's touching my hand. I'm minding my own business. I'm minding my own business. You've come off the street to where I'm having a private drink with my family, and you're telling me I have to leave.
I can't hear you, mate. I can't talk. We're upstairs.
Tell me why I have to leave. Mate, you know this is ridiculous, yeah? You're from Luton. You know this is ridiculous. Tell me why I have to leave.
At the end of the day, the boss has authorised a section 35.
But we've already cleared it. Why? And we're allowed to stay.
You haven't cleared it with the boss, have you?
You haven't cleared it with the boss, have you? So Tommy was pretty irate. I mean, I think you might be too if you were interrupted at a restaurant where you were with your family and told to get out immediately or be arrested. That's what the form was. We'll give you a Form 35. If he had been drunk or disorderly or fighting with rival teams, fair play. But none of that was the case. In fact, he was apart from most of the Luton fans. He was upstairs in the pub. Most were downstairs. The landlady of the pub, who didn't know Tommy, remember this was in Cambridge, not Tommy's hometown of Luton, the landlady came over and told the cops, this guy's fine. He's just been sitting here peacefully with his kids all day. Here, listen to this clip.
I'm the area manager for a security company. The group that you're throwing out have been in the Prince Regent today with their children. Caused no problems at all in there. They come in here, spoken to my head of security. He's saying that they've not caused.
Shall I have a chat with you away from this side? No, away from you.
Come and talk away from this side. Why? Because you don't want people hearing the truth.
I don't want to talk to
No,
you.
you don't want to hear. No, she's telling you. She's telling you she's seen my family all day.
You heard her. He's been there all day with his family, children, no problem. He's been no problem. You'd think that would be the end of it. I mean, this landlady had no stake in this other than she wants an orderly restaurant, safe. And sure, she wants her paying customers. So you'd think if Tommy had been in the slightest way a problem, the landlady would say, oh, thank God, officer, you're here. Get him out. She'd be grateful to the cops for kicking him out, but the opposite. She was saying, why are you kicking out one of my paying customers? He's been here all day with his family. I wonder if they even had the right to do so. I mean, what if she instead had kicked the cops out? Pub is private property. I wonder what would have happened if the landlady would have told the cops, please get off my private property or I'll come for you for trespass. And please leave my peaceful paying customers alone. I wonder what would have happened in that alternate universe. But she didn't do that. And as you can see, the cop didn't even really listen to her. He just made his decision. And if Tommy didn't like it, he should take it up with the boss. Tommy grudgingly complied. And when he and his kids left the pub, the police now said, okay, now get out of the city. Get out of the entire city. Leave the city. Go to the train station and get out now. Now, unlike when Tommy was talking to the cops, Tommy's kids were right there now. So Tommy wasn't as vocally irate anymore. He was trying to be calm and controlled because he didn't want to upset his kids. So watch this part right when they're leaving the pub. He's with his kids, so Tommy's tone is lower, but they're saying get out of the city.
We've caused no problems. It's embarrassing, lads.
All the time, is that what you do?
You ready, kids? Come on, bro.
All right,
let's go.
You get over there, did you?
Let's just go.
You get over there?
Yeah.
Yeah? That's all right. Yeah.
Go in.
Come, girls.
All right?
Don't get your tissue and go. We have to go. Come on.
Come on, kids.
Sorry.
Come on.
We've got 5 kids with us, so obviously we're causing loads of trouble and we've got to get out. So.
Look at that.
Mate, it's a fucking joke. Nice stuff, Ben, yeah? Take care.
Oh, look, he's even following us now. Mate, go home. Kids, come on. Come on. Come on, go on.
This is what happens when you go to Luton away. You want to come? No, I'm filming it. Get it now and get home. Tell the mother we've got to get sorry.
Why were they following him? Why were they filming him? Imagine being told to leave a city. For what crime? For what crime? Well, keep asking and I'll arrest you. That's the crime. That's what the cop upstairs said. Anyways, Tommy did indeed, as you can see, walk to the train station. And the police, well, they followed him And they didn't just follow him. One of them took out a video camera and ostentatiously started recording him with his kids right there. How creepy is that? You could see he had left the pub. You could see he was walking to the railway station. And then his girl started to cry, and then Tommy got mad in front of his kids for the first time. Take a look.
No idea, darling. Darling, my daughter's crying her eyes out now, lads. So you're following us. You're following us.
You're shouting.
You're making my daughter cry. Go away.
We're making sure that you stay safe.
They're scared.
Right, okay. We're following you. There's no way out of that.
You think we need safety of you? Mason, darling, come here. Come here, darling. It's all right. Come here, sweetheart. It's all right. Girls, it's all right. Come here. Come here. Come here, sweetheart. Come here. Girls, come here. You've terrorised my family. You've terrorised my children. You have terrorised my children. No, you've terrorised my children. Stop following us. You've terrorised my children. You've terrorised my children. They're kids trying to watch football. You've terrorised them. You've caused this, you bully. You horrible bully.
So those are the facts, at least the evidence. Funny thing, that police videographer, surprise, he deleted his own videotape, even though he testified in court that he was the official evidence gatherer. That's weird. That video cop testified and said under oath that depending on the situation, he is obligated to keep evidence for at least 28 days, or even, he said, in some cases up to 100 years. But in this case, he felt the video was of no relevance or interest, so he just deleted it. Whoopsies. Isn't that convenient? There was a lot of that at the trial. You can watch the whole 17-minute YouTube interaction of Tommy and the police as uploaded by Tommy's friend to the internet, and that's recorded on Tommy's phone. Tommy says it ended only when his cell phone battery ran out. That's why he wanted to see the police video, and he wrote to them to that effect, can I see the police video? But because, for example, Tommy said that his daughter was so upset by the police following her and videotaping her that she actually started to run out into the street. And he knew that would be corroborated by the police video that captured it all, but alas, the cop thought it was irrelevant, so he deleted it. You know, I haven't practiced law in a long time, but if you delete evidence, hide something from the court, in Canada at least, there's a presumption that you were hiding something because it was embarrassing to your case. So a court takes an adverse inference from it. If you're going to play silly games like that, the court is going to assume the worst about what you refuse to show them, right? Assume it was damning, but that didn't happen here. Anyway, so I attended the trial for 3 days. I just got back to Toronto late last night, and the judge actually released her judgment today. And I read about it through the website of the Cambridgeshire Live, a local newspaper. They had a young reporter, Freddie Lynn, who actually was sitting next to me the whole time during the trial. We became friendly acquaintances. So he was in court still today, and he was typing things up, and I relied on him for what happened. And I learned today that the judge, in fact, ruled against Tommy. Here's Freddie's story. Not only did the judge throw out Tommy's lawsuit, but Tommy has to pay the lawyer for the police, and apparently has to pay the police themselves. I've never heard of that before. They were being paid to attend the trial. They incurred no cost personally. But Tommy told me he doesn't just have to pay for their lawyers, but the police, a total of, if I heard him right, a total of £38,000, which is over 60,000 Canadian dollars. Now, I'm mad at the police for their obvious strong-arm tactics, kicking a guy out of a restaurant for no reason at all. I'm mad at the judge for accepting it. I'm mad at the judge for what she believed and what she refused to believe from the trial. For example, she specifically said that she did not believe that Tommy's kids were with him in the pub. But he said that they were. The pub's landlady, I showed you the video, said that they were. You saw a video of them with him. But here's what the judge said. I am satisfied the children were not in the public house, but on the green. The judge said they weren't in the pub, but everyone else who was there says they were. The landlady, Tommy, you saw with your own eyes. A Luton police spotter named Constable Mason, that's one of those Luton cops that travels with the Luton team, testified that he saw Tommy with the kids. Now, he's a cop. He said it under oath, but the judge actually said she thinks that Luton cop was mistaken. What? You saw the cop hear from the landlady that Tommy was fine. You saw the cop ignore that, though. At the court, when asked why he kicked out Tommy if there were no problems, he told this laughable story about how he had bumped into someone on the street. And he only remembered this later, by the way. The cop said, the Sergeant Street of the Cambridgeshire cops said that he bumped into someone on the street, a drunk fan, who, he claimed, uttered something about, "You better watch out for that Tommy Robinson," or something. The cop actually called that intel. This alleged comment by an anonymous drunk on the street was intel. Oh, by the way, that he didn't remember till much later. But his own observations of Tommy being sober, hearing the landlady saying everything was fine, the kids were there, that apparently is mistaken. An imaginary friend told him Tommy was a risk, and that was more powerful than the landlady's. And the judge bought it. The judge said, the policing I've described above, the policing that's shown in Tommy's video for 17 minutes, you can find the whole thing online. The judge said, that's fine, that's good policing. In fact, Tommy owes them money now, not the other way around. I want to tell you two more crazy things. Here's a tweet that I wrote from court. I was very careful to get it right, word for word. This is the definition of a risk supporter, a football hooligan that's at risk. The police use to arrest people on sight. If you're at risk, they can arrest you on sight. They call you a risk supporter. That's their word. This is how a cop defined being a risk supporter to Tommy's lawyer. This is the European Union definition that he follows. Ready? So Gurdon, what is the EU definition? That's Tommy's lawyer. Mason, the cop, said, any person, known or not, that has the capability or possibility of public order or antisocial behavior, whether that's spontaneous or pre-planned at any football event. Really? Any person, known or not? What does that even mean? That just means any person who has the possibility of being antisocial, even in a spontaneous manner. Isn't that literally any human being in the world? Isn't it true that any human has the possibility of being antisocial on a spontaneous basis? I mean, I guess not for a baby in a pram or something, but literally any adult could be arrested under that. Of course, that's going to be abused, just like it was abused.
Right, okay, we'll give you a 35 then. I'm with my children. Hold on. I'm with my children. Stop, get that thing in my face. I'm not being interviewed by you. Right. Tell me why. You tell me why. No, you'll get it on the form. It'll be explained to you. Tell me why I have to. I'm going to get a form down. Tell me why. Listen, no,
tell me why you're giving me the form. It'll be explained on the form. The form is the Section 35 dispersal order for antisocial behavior. Why are you arresting me? I'll let you know when I arrest you. No, am I doing something wrong right now? I'll tell you when I arrest you. Can you tell me what I'm doing? So if you keep asking me why I'm arresting you, I'm going to arrest you. Imagine having that power. I met that cop, by the way. He's just the same in person as he is in the bar there. Imagine having that power to arrest someone because they might possibly do something in the future that's antisocial. In fact, that's actually what the judge said. She accepted the imaginary friend warning the cop about Tommy as a reason to arrest him, but she dismissed the landlady's comments by saying, look at that. Let me just quote from this, hold this for a second up. Judge Walden-Smith continues, the landlady clearly intervened to say, Mr. Lennon, that's Tommy, had been fine. That is evidence that is relevant, but it's not everything. This is the judge. The landlady is referring to how they had been, and not how he was going to be. Well, sure. The landlady said Tommy was fine all day. Okay, sure, fine. With his kids, fine. But she didn't have a crystal ball to know he would still be fine for the last hour of the game. The judge said, well, you know, he might suddenly have gone berserk. You never know. It's incredible. But there was one more thing that was incredible. I got into a little bit of trouble myself. I don't know if you heard. I was live tweeting from the court. In fact, my live tweets from the court over the course of 3 days, according to Twitter analytics, were cumulatively viewed 13 million times. 13 million. That is a lot of views. And you could tell that the police and the lawyers were obsessed by what I was typing. I mean, my friend Freddie from the Cambridgeshire Live was doing a good enough job, but 13 million views, that's something else, not to brag. Okay, brag a little. And so this is what happened. During a break in the court, I was standing near a cop, the one who had threatened to arrest Tommy, the one who said, "Oh, wait, mate, I'll arrest you, I'll show you why when I arrest you." And I asked him a couple questions, including if he had any regrets. I just said, "Do you have any regrets?" That's a total interaction. Maybe it was 10 seconds, maybe 15 seconds. And the cops just all went back into the court to move away from me. Okay, fair enough. But then those cops literally complained to the judge, claiming I was intimidating them. I swear to God. So, stalking Tommy and his kids, including making his young daughter cry, that's good policing. But these three big bad men asking them, "Hey guys, do you regret it?" That's intimidating the police. I kid you not, the judge said that. So the judge interrupted the trial on the first day and cautioned me to stop being so intimidating. And I said, "No problem, okay, I'll stop intimidating Cambridgeshire's finest." And I actually apologized. Now, not to the cops, of course, but I apologized to the judge for causing her a headache in her own court. So no problem, I kept tweeting. And then the cops or someone must have complained again. I don't know who did, because the judge stopped the proceedings later and ordered the entire public gallery to leave the court. The judge wasn't in the, then the judge left the court. The judge wasn't in the court at that moment, actually, but she had the clerk or the usher ask every journalist, ask all the public to leave, and then ask the remaining people, including the journalists, to show their journalism license or some sort of registration card they have over there, like a permit, really a license. The court was asking everyone to prove they were licensed to commit journalism. Licensed? Well, here in Canada, we don't require a license to do journalism. We're not like Romania, where during the Cold War, you literally had to register your typewriter with the government and get a license because they didn't want anyone typing anything that could cause trouble. That's true, look it up. So I told the court, I said, "Look, we don't have journalism permits in Canada," and they accepted that. But what was so gross, what was so sad was the speed, the glee, the pride with which the rest of the journalists in the room, including my friend Freddie, whipped out their licenses. They were so proud. "Here's my license, mate." Proud to be asked, proud to prove they were compliant and submissive. They were so proud of their licenses. "Oh, I'm licensed, bruv." Anyways, the judge came back in, raised an eyebrow about my point that we don't need licenses here in Canada. I don't know if she believed me even. And then she gave a very explicit warning to me directly that I had better stop tweeting any opinions. None at all. I couldn't question goofy things like a cop and his imaginary friend. I couldn't express an opinion at all in my tweets. Like, I was silent in the court. Obviously, I didn't say anything during the trial. She said that I couldn't say any opinions on Twitter at all. No opinions. And that her ban didn't just apply to what I said from typing in court, but if I was outside the court, like if I made a video, she said that she didn't want me to have any opinions at all on the trial until the ruling came out. I didn't want to take out any more of the court's time. So I said, "Look, I'll do my best to just be a stenographer." I didn't want to push this trial off the rails or anything. It wasn't my affair. But I guess that wasn't good enough, because after the trial ended on the second day, Wednesday, I was asked to go back into the courtroom. And it was just me then, the judge, the two clerks, the two lawyers, the clerk and the usher, and me. And we were in the courtroom, just us. And the judge told me at great length that if I kept giving my opinions, which I guess I was doing, she'd hold me in contempt of court. It wasn't a hearing. I was facing no charges. It was just her being very mad at me. And I didn't want to fight. I told her the truth. I didn't come to Peterborough to quarrel with her. It was her trial, and I didn't want to interfere with it. To be candid, I have no idea how my tweets could possibly interfere with her trial. She's the judge. There was no jury that might sneak a peek at my tweets. It's laughable that my tweets could be intimidating to these big burly cops or something. It was so weird. So I don't even know why tweeting would impact the trial. I mean, unless they're all watching my tweets, why would they do that? Now, like I said, I have tweeted hundreds of little updates. So I asked her, "Well, was there anything in particular you're mad about?" And she mentioned a couple, including this one, where I had made a self-deprecating joke. I said, "Hopefully this won't get me thrown in the dungeon." It's a little joke. It's obviously not going to derail a trial. Obviously that's not going to intimidate a police officer. Obviously that's not going to spoil the jury. There was no jury. It was a self-deprecating joke about me and my big mouth. But the judge obviously didn't even like the joke. I'm not even sure what was wrong with that tweet, but I deleted it. I took a picture of it before I deleted it. And I told her I'd delete. "Look, just tell me what you want me to delete. I'll just delete it. I don't care." Even if I disagreed with it, just tell me. I mean, I fight for freedom every day. I fight in the court all the time. This just wasn't the right moment. It was Tommy's trial, not mine. It wasn't about me. I didn't go there to get in a quarrel in a foreign country. I thought I'd tell you that because that was probably the saddest part of the whole experience to me. First, that the UK has allowed itself to be governed by laws that allow police to simply arrest anyone for anything at any time for what future crimes they might possibly commit. Of course, that's going to be abused by bully cops. That was sad to me. But even sadder was the general political media culture, that to the establishment, to lawyers, politicians, the media, the courts, everyone, having unrestricted police powers is just fine. And having journalism licenses is just fine. And threatening to hold a journalist in contempt and possibly throw him, me, in prison for expressing an opinion on Twitter or a dumb joke, that's just fine. It's all just fine. Except that it isn't. Look, I like visiting the UK. I like my friend Tommy, but I sure wouldn't want to live there. And I want to do my best to make sure that we here in Canada and in the States too, don't make the same mistakes they are. By the way, one of the reasons we're fighting Rachel Notley in court so hard in Alberta is that she wants us to register our billboards with the government, like it's a Romanian typewriter, like it's a British journalist. Yeah, no, not yet. That's an excerpt from the Ezra Levant show. Every day I do a video monologue and then I interview an interesting guest and then I end by reading my hate mail, but you've got to subscribe to it, which you can do at therebel.media/shows.